when love is a ritual of control, protection spells that keep you imprisoned. I'm only saying this because I love you. If I didn't care so much, I wouldn't worry about you. Everything I do is to protect you. No one will ever love you like I do. These familiar refrains represent some of humanity's most powerful and insidious protection spells, incantations cloaked in the language of love but designed to maintain control. Like all effective spells, their power lies in their ability to operate unseen, transforming prisons into sanctuaries in the mind of the captive. The alchemy of control, how love becomes a cage. The transformation of love into control rarely happens overnight. Instead, it occurs through a subtle alchemical process where genuine care becomes gradually transmuted into domination. 1. The foundation stone, legitimate protectio. All control dynamics begin with legitimate protection. Parents naturally protect children. Partners shield each other from harm. Communities safeguard members. This foundation makes the later distortions so difficult to identify the original impulse was authentic. 2. The first transmutation, from protection to possessio. The shift begins when protection stops being about the other person's well-being and starts being about maintaining access to them. The subtle indicator, protection that consistently limits growth rather than facilitating it. 3. The second transmutation, from possession to identity. The controller increasingly defines themselves through their protective role. Their identity becomes entangled with being needed, creating an unconscious investment in the other person's continued vulnerability. 4. The final form, the protection ritual. Eventually, the relationship crystallizes into a set of rituals, predictable patterns of interaction where control is exercised under the guise of care, with both parties often unaware of the underlying dynamic. 7. Protection spells disguised as love. 1. The prophecy of doom. The spell, the world is dangerous, only I can keep you safe. This spell works by magnifying external threats while positioning the spellcaster as the sole source of safety. It creates dependency by convincing the target that they lack the capability to navigate challenges independently. The most potent versions don't just highlight actual dangers but catastrophize normal life experiences, turning everyday risks into existential threats that require constant vigilance and control. 2. The mirror of inadequacy. The spell, I see your flaws better than you do, my criticism is for your own good. This protection ritual positions relentless criticism as an act of care rather than control. The spellcaster claims unique insight into the target's imperfections and frames their constant corrections as necessary improvements. The spell's power comes from eroding self-trust, creating a dependency on external validation, and establishing the controller as the ultimate authority on the target's worth. 3. The isolation enchantment. The spell, others will hurt you, I'm protecting you from them. Perhaps the most dangerous protection spell, this enchantment works by systematically cutting connections to anyone who might offer alternative perspectives. Friends become bad influences, family becomes toxic, and colleagues become jealous competitors. The insidious nature of this spell lies in how it appears to simplify life by removing complications while actually eliminating potential witnesses to the control dynamic. 4. The sacrifice bind. The spell, look at all I've sacrificed for you, you owe me your compliance. This protection ritual invokes unpayable debt as its control mechanism. The spellcaster catalogs their sacrifices, often exaggerated or self-imposed, to create eternal obligation in the target. The spell works by transforming natural reciprocity into a transactional ledger where the target always remains in deficit, making independence feel like ingratitude. 5. The emotional hostage crisis. The spell, my emotional stability depends on your behavior. This sophisticated enchantment makes the target responsible for the spellcaster's emotional regulation. Any boundary setting or independent action becomes reframed as an attack that causes emotional distress in the controller. The spell derives power from exploiting empathy. The more compassionate the target, the more effective the control, as they continually compromise to prevent the controller's emotional crises. 6. The crystal ball projectio. The spell, I know what's best for you better than you know yourself. This protection ritual involves persistently overriding the target's stated desires with claims of superior insight. You think you want X, but I know you really need Y. The spell's effectiveness comes from creating self-doubt so pervasive that the target becomes unable to distinguish their authentic desires from those implanted by the controller. 7. The comparison curse. The spell, "No one else would tolerate, understand, love you like I do." The ultimate protection spell convinces the target that the controlling relationship, despite its limitations, represents their best possible option. The outside world becomes portrayed as so harsh, shallow, or unaccepting that the control dynamic seems preferable by comparison. This spell maintains power by keeping the target's standards chronically low while fostering fear of abandonment. Breaking the enchantment, recognizing the spells. The first step toward freedom is recognition. Here are signs that protection has become control. 1. Protection that doesn't evolve as capabilities grow. 2. Protection that isolates rather than expands connexio. 3. Protection that diminishes rather than enhances confidence. Articulate exactly how control is being exercised under the guise of protection. Naming breaks the spell's unconscious power and creates cognitive space for new possibilities. 2. Reclaim your reality. Challenge the narrative that you are inherently vulnerable or incapable. Document evidence of your competence and resilience to counter the self-doubt these spells create. 3. Expand your circle. Deliberately rebuild connections with people who see and affirm your capability. Diverse perspectives help neutralize the singular authority of the controller. 4. Practice boundary rituals. Develop specific phrases and practices for maintaining boundaries when protection spells are being cast. These might include, "I understand you're worried, but this decision is mine to make." 5. Redefine protectio. Consciously craft a new definition of what genuine protection looks like in relationships, one that enhances freedom rather than restricting it. When you're the spellcaster, self-recognition and change. Many of us have unconsciously cast these spells, genuinely believing we were acting from love. Signs you might be using protection as control include: 1. Feeling personally threatened by loved one's independence. 2. Experiencing anger when advice isn't followed. 3. Repeatedly highlighting others' mistakes and vulnerabilities. 4. Finding it difficult to trust others' judgment. The path to change begins with honest self-examination. What fears drive your need to control? How might your protection be limiting others? How is your identity tied to being needed? The ultimate freedom, love without possessio. True love, whether parental, romantic, or platonic, always works toward its own obsolescence in certain ways. It seeks to build such strength in the beloved that protection becomes increasingly unnecessary. This represents love's paradoxical victory, the moment when those we care for become so empowered that our protection becomes optional rather than essential. Not because the connection weakens, but because both parties engage from strength rather than dependency.